Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the ARIN Community Grant Program. Next slide. It was launched last year in 2019, and it provides financial grants in support of initiatives that improve the overall internet industry and internet user environment. Next slide. The project eligibility guidelines for applicants when they apply must fit into one of the technical processes in technology, informational outreach, or research, and they must each broadly benefit the internet community within the ARIN service region. Next slide. So in 2019, we had 4 projects selected to receive a grant, and those projects have since been completed and they've submitted their final reports on September 30th. And we are going to hear from representatives from each of these projects today. So we're going to hear from Phil Roberts with the Kryptek project, Sandra Steffen with the Global NOG Alliance, Nalini Elkins with the IPv6 Training for Enterprises project, and Keith Mitchell with the DNS Open Source Tools Enhancement and Maintenance project. And without further ado, I'll let them take it away.
Thanks to the ARIN community for inviting me to give this update on the Kryptek project. And thanks to the ARIN community for supporting us through a grant in 2019. We appreciate your contribution to us. I'm going to talk about the Kryptek open source cryptography project and kind of bring you up to date on where we've been and where we are. We are about building hardware security modules in an open fashion. A hardware security module is a dedicated appliance for cryptographic operations. And the main thing it does is generates, protects, and stores secrets. An example of this would be a private key in a PKI system. These modules are very expensive. There are very few vendors are pretty closely connected to national security agencies around the globe. So it causes us to have some doubt about integrity of these kinds of devices. This is a hardware security module with a bunch of applications that it enables. These are a bunch of different versions of hardware security modules. You can see a rack mounted unit. You can see a USB key type device. All of them are hardware security modules providing different levels of functionality. The Kryptek project is a multi-year effort to move towards an open HSM platform. We're designing this to be open, auditable, and trustable. It was thought up by a few people in the IETF. It's been going on for a few years, and we have reasonable confidence of it being and staying open and being relatively more secure because of that. We have a core team that's spread around the globe, including developers in North America, Sweden, Russia, Germany. It's an open development project. We have signed commits to Git repositories that are available to anybody to look at. Kryptek has tried to make itself radically open. All of our hardware designs and all of our implemented software are publicly available. There's a link to how to get to the repositories and a link to how to find the mailing lists. And we've made these very open in terms of licensing. We use a 3-clause BSD license on all the software and FPGA code, Creative Commons for all documents. We want to make it as permissive as possible for people to use this technology. This is a picture of the Kryptek Alpha board. It's about 4x6, I think, or maybe 5x8. It sits inside a little case. This is the current version. Part of the funding from ARIN has helped us design the next iteration of this, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Here's kind of a review of the things that we've accomplished. We have open source hardware and software published. The main use case continues to be RSA signing. We do that at a really good rate now, 80 signatures a second. For a device like us, or like ours, that's a very good rate. It was about 8 before we started the work that was funded in part by the ARIN grant. In the past, we've enabled hash-based signatures in ED 25519. We had an external security audit in 2018 that was very positive. There were no critical vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities that were identified were fixed by the end of 2018. And the reviewers thought we had a very solid design from a security point of view. dealing with its cryptographic aspects. The grant this year has enabled us to move on in a couple of ways. We did a redesign of our RSA, which got us the 10x performance improvement. And we've started looking at a next iteration of hardware. One important part of that is an open master key memory. We're implementing that in a new FPGA. It's a Lattice ICE40 device. All of that will be open. All of it is open now. We don't have it. We don't have a prototype yet. And we've started working on a bunch of things for a new version of the hardware. As you can see from here, some of these things are done. Some important things on this is moving the designs to KiCad, which is an open board design system, integrating this FPGA-based master key memory, and completing the new RSA cores, which has allowed us to get the better performance. And we're ready to make a new prototype of this board. We're just lacking funding for that right at the moment. So all the design work is complete, it's published. We're just waiting to get some prototypes printed. These are all of the people who have funded Kryptek, and I put ARIN on here in this past year. Thank you very much for your support. Almost all of the donations, almost all of the funding goes towards paying the developers. We pay our developers to develop the hardware and software, and that's where it is. We have some funding that goes towards hardware and producing prototypes. We try to recover that where possible through crowdsourcing it through crowd supply. But thank you very much to ARIN for your participation in this project and your contribution in the last year. So thanks to the ARIN community for your support. I'm Phil Roberts, and that's my contact information if you have any additional questions.
Hi, I'm Sander Stefan for the Global NOC Alliance, and this is the project that we are working on and have worked on for the last year and are still working on. So we are a not-for-profit foundation founded to help network operators around the world. So we have some network operators in Gambia. We have them in Uganda. We are helping the Greek network operator group. So we are trying to help them so they can focus on their community. So what we do is we take away all the boring stuff, like hosting the website, hosting the email, the mailing lists, provide the tooling for event management. All those things we try to take care of, because that's not what a NOC should focus on. What they should focus on is their community. So we try to do that by providing all the tools they need so they have enough time to do useful work for them. And the problem we ran into is that we provide WordPress websites, we provide event management tooling using Indico, but those have two completely different web interfaces. They don't look anything alike, and it's really confusing for the users. So here's an example. On the left is our own website, and on the right is the web interface from Indico. And people who want information about one of the events have to log into a different system, are presented with a different user interface, and yeah, it's just not user-friendly. So what we decided to do is to get a professional WordPress developer and have them write a plugin that uses the Indico API and imports everything into the WordPress website, so that you get a consistent look. So we decided to do this and make it completely open source. So it's going to be in the WordPress plugin index that's provided by WordPress. So anybody who wants this can just install the plugin, put in the URL and the API key for Indico, and they get all the event information in their website. So we're going to provide support for that over the next couple of years, and this is the main thing we did with the money we got from the grant program. So what does it look like? This is an example. Unfortunately, the plugin isn't live yet, so this is just a little preview. This is our main website. So this is what it looks like. It has a standard text, WordPress information. And then one of the components you can insert into WordPress is for example, it is called planned activities here, and these are all the different events that are in Indico. So you can see where it is. Well, these days it's usually an online event. There's a short summary, and then there's a button where you can go to the event information. So here's what that looks like. Sorry for the typo. Like I said, this is just a little preview. So the basic event information, a bit more extensive this time. And below that, there's a full timetable, speakers, links to all the presentations that people can download. There will be links to information about the speakers if the organizer put that in Indico. There will be links to the videos that have been recorded if there are any. So all those things are now going to be part of the normal website. So every NOC can just use Indico to organize their event, and then automatically all that information is presented on the main website and easily available to for everybody to see. So this is the main thing we've been working on. This is the total budget we got from ARIN. So we got $5,000 for tool development. So 4,500 of that was spent on the development company for the plugin. We still have 500 left for further improvements and support. And then we got $2,000 for infrastructure and hosting. Now, because I'm personally just sponsoring all the hosting, and we're hosting everything on my own servers, we didn't need to spend any money on that. So in these days of Corona, what we have done is we're spending that money on helping NOCs get access to Zoom and Hopin and other online conferencing platforms. So they can have much better virtual conferences online. And as most NOCs are, yeah, they don't, either they're a foundation that's purely funded by sponsoring, or they're not even an official entity at all. It's just a bunch of volunteers organizing this for their community. So they usually don't have the funds to get a subscription to services like this. So we are getting the subscription for them, and then using that subscription to support as many NOCs as we can. So this is a quick overview of what we've been doing. And yeah, thank you for your attention.
Hi, thanks so much. This is Nalini Elkins, and I'm the president of Industry Network Technology Council. And our project was IPv6 deployment at enterprises. As many of you are probably aware, that the enterprises, people who have managed private networks, such as the large financials, even many folks in the government and so on, have really not deployed IPv6, nor do they plan to do so. Somebody was joking around with me and said, yeah, we'll be ready for IPv6 probably about 2040 or so. That's only a slight joke. But it creates a problem for the internet as a whole, because there's additional complexity to maintaining multiple stacks, security issues, and so on. So what did we want to do? What we wanted to do is we wanted to talk to these people. We wanted to see if they might be able to raise the implementation priority of IPv6. But one of the problems was many of them haven't gotten trained in IPv6, so they see it as being unnecessarily complex. Don't get me wrong, it is complex, but maybe not quite as much as people think. So that's what we did, is we provided technical training, and we gave a number of webinars. Ranging from the introduction to IPv6 to neighbor discovery, which is one of the new protocols, which is in IPv6, IPv6 addressing and address planning, which are major issues because it's the address itself which has changed, and the entire way that one wants to think about address planning is different. Also, how do you transition from IPv4 to IPv6? And one of the things that our enterprises use is DHCP for giving out addresses. How is all that going to work? And then, of course, the biggest problem, as far as a lot of people think, is security. How are we going to do security? And we were fortunate enough to have quite a few of the folks at the IETF who actually wrote a number of these RFCs engage in discussion with our enterprises with us, and so that was great to have. We also published an article aimed at the executives to raise their awareness, because a lot of people tell us, well, you know, that's all well and good, but I can't get my executives to see, to really understand this. So how did it work out? Well, I feel like we had quite a few folks. I would say probably overall our webcast probably about 700, and they were senior technicians from federal and state governments, military, the financials, and even one from our Native American nation. So it was great to see. The breakout is, by and large, they were from ARIN, which I think is, again, was the aim of what we were trying to do, is do this for the ARIN attendees. Here's a little testimonial, which you guys can read. They were kind enough to find our webinars useful. And so what's next? We're going to work with a partner in the Asia Pacific region, specifically India, to extend this work to the APNIC region. And we have received a grant from ISIF, the APNIC Foundation, to do that. And we hope to continue this work with ARIN on IPv6 application conversion, security, and then troubleshooting, because those are, again, issues that have been pointing out by our enterprises, and so that we hope we will be able to work again with ARIN. So thank you so much.
I'm Keith Mitchell, President of DNS of Work. We are grateful to have been one of the recipients of an ARIN community grant over the past year, and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time telling you what we've been doing with that. What is DNS of Work? Like ARIN, we're a non-profit membership organization, and we're here to make part of the internet's operational infrastructure work better. We don't operate critical resources ourselves, but we work with a lot of people that do, and we're focused on the domain name system. We do a number of activities. Much of that is community building, knowledge sharing, best practice. We also do data gathering, and we work as a liaison channel between researchers and operators. One piece of the DNS infrastructure I think is quite relevant here is ionadr.arpa, which is very relevant to the operations of regional internet registries like ARIN and anyone who operates internet address space. The part of our work which is specific to the ARIN grant concerns the various open source software tools that we maintain and develop. I mentioned we're a membership organization. We have about 100 participating organizations. Many of these contribute towards our software. Many of these are DNS top-level domain registries, internet service providers, vendors of open source software and DNS hardware, and also a number of the regional internet registries. So the software projects, the software that we do is not production operational software. It's not the thing that you would run your network on. Rather, it is there for measurement, testing, interoperability, data capture and gathering, analyzing data that you've captured, telemetry to measure the performance of your infrastructure. You can see there a list of the various tools that have received support from the ARIN grant over the past year. There's a number of things that we have done with this. When you're developing open source software, everyone's very keen for there to be new software, and there's a flurry of interest, and people develop new tools, or they fund us to develop new tools, or quite often some of the things that happen is that after that first flurry of excitement, then we finish up inheriting the software that is perhaps got orphaned. All this software is useful, but the thing about open source is it's really only useful if it's actively maintained in terms of things like bug fixes and security patches. And not everybody's prepared to fund that. So being able to have the ARIN grant to actually fund that has been really useful. One of the other things that we've done with a lot of this software is a common automation for development and building. We've been able over the past year to do fully automated package management so that for all our releases, there are ready-built packages for all the common operating systems. And just by using this software, there's a whole bunch of things the DNS is better understood, it's measured. You can find out how the DNS is working on your network and potentially debug it and optimize it. This is not the only software that we do. We have other open source projects which have been funded by other parties. There's still a lot of our software development that is funded by our member subscriptions. But one of the nice things that's happened over the past year is that ARIN has been able to fund software which we've kept in good shape, and that's been in good enough shape that we've been able to source funding elsewhere to develop that further. This will give you an idea of the frequency of releases that we have. You can see the big one there is our domain statistics collector, but there are a whole bunch of other tools that have been worked on. And this will give you an idea of the activity. You can see from the pull requests that we have active participation and contributions from our community. And I hope that the issues created and closed demonstrates that we're responsive to requests to maintain and improve the software. That's pretty much it. You can find more information on our software page. That has got links to things like our licensing policy, links to the mailing lists that we operate for various of the projects, and to our GitHub project pages. And also, if you're interested in funding particular DNS software development, then we're certainly open to that. And the final thing I'll say is this is not my work. Almost all of this work has been done by our software engineer, Jerry Lindstrom, and Jerry will certainly be very happy to answer any questions that you may have about our software. Just one final thing I want to share with you. This is not directly funded by ARIN over the past year, but something that we developed is a tool which allows RPKI validation of the path that your name resolution is happening on. So we have a tool called Check My DNS, and you can use this to verify that the path between your local name resolver and the authoritative server for the domains you're querying is actually RPKI validated, which we hope will contribute towards the deployment of RPKI. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, grant recipients, for those presentations. Congratulations on all the great work that you've done over the past year. Now I'll just give you a quick update on the 2020 program. The Grant Selection Committee has reviewed applications and made their selection recommendations based on the selection criteria, which included alignment with eligibility guidelines, relevance and reach, impact, budget, and likelihood of success. The Grant Selection Committee included Michael Apohela, myself, Peter Harrison, Carrie Richards, Patrick Voigt, and Matthew Wilder. So thank you all for your great work as part of this committee and volunteering to be on it. And the Board of Trustees has also reviewed and approved the selections, and you will be seeing an announcement soon. If you are with us for the last day of ARIN 46 on Friday, the 23rd of October, you will see a list of those recipients, and I do hope you will join us for that. Next slide. A few program stats. We received 13 applications this year from 1 association, 7 corporations, and 5 other organizations as they self-identified. 2 were from Canada, 7 from the United States, 1 from the Caribbean, and 3 from outside the ARIN region. The categories that they self-selected included 9 from internet technical improvements, 5 under registry processes and technology improvements, 5 under informational outreach, and 3 categorized themselves as research. The total funding requested was just a bit over $300,000, and the average funding requested per project was about $23,500. Next slide. And lastly, if you know of a project that needs commercial gain and it benefits the internet community within the ARIN region, we invite you to apply for an ARIN community grant. The program budget is $60,000 USD, and it will be awarded in varying amounts starting at $1,000 and based on project need. So the call for applications will be issued in spring 2021, and you can learn more and apply at the link on your screen. We encourage you to share about this program with your friends and colleagues, and hopefully we'll get a lot of great applications.